Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be checking out a diesel heater from HCalory, or HCalory I guess you could say. So let's go ahead and open this up and check it out. Alright, when you first open it up, I guess you're going to want to tear off these pieces of styrofoam right here to be able to get to the handles. And let's just pull this thing right out. Alright, so here's the diesel heater all wrapped in bubble wrap. And then we have this box of supplies here and the user's manual. Okay, so here's what you're going to see when you first open the box and unpackage your HCalory diesel heater. Now you're going to see the sides, which both sides look like this. There are open slots right here. I believe that is for being able to view the amount of fuel that you have, which will be diesel. On the front, we have our control panel right here, along with a little remote, which it says off and on, and plus or minus, which is going to be for the, I'm guessing for the temperature, but we'll see that once we turn the thing on. This is also the outlet fan right here that blows all the hot air out. This side, again, shows the same thing as the other side, so it's nice to see that you will be able to see the amount of fuel no matter what side you're looking at. And also on top, this is our fuel cap right here. And then on the back, this is the air intake that gets heated. And we also have a plug right here, which is going to power the unit. We also have a cutout right here, which is for the fresh air intake. On the bottom of the unit, you will see that this is where the fresh air intake is. It's the one closest to the fuel line, which is this little piece right here in green. And then you also have your hot exhaust vent right here, which will hopefully come out the side. We also have latches on both sides. We'll be able to take off this cover to be able to see what's inside. Alright, the things that we get inside the accessory box is the hot air exhaust hose right here, which is stainless steel. We also have a silencer or a muffler. We also have the hot air outlet hose, which is semi-flexible and about 15 inches long. And inside of here, oh, it looks like we have a 90-degree pipe that we'll be using for our exhaust. And also inside we have our fresh air intake hose. And a little, I guess this is like an air intake filter, but there's no filter in it. It's just a piece of plastic with a bunch of holes on it. So it's so like large bugs don't get sucked into the air intake. All right, we have also a variety of hose clamps and screws and bolts for assembly. We have our power cord, which is the plug on the back. And then also a couple of ringlets to be able to connect to your DC source. And it does say supply right here, 12 volt or 24 volt greater than 15 amps. And then also we have a box right here. And this is a converter, so you can actually plug it into AC. All right, let's go over more closely what all of this comes with. First, you have the diesel heater. And you have your manual. This manual, it looks thick, but the first 20 pages are in English, and there's like 6 or 7 different languages in there. So, then you have all your exhaust equipment. You have your exhaust pipe. You have a 90-degree that goes to the actual unit, and hopefully it will come out. You also have a bracket for your exhaust. You have a silencer, a muffler. And you have a bracket to be able to hold the muffler in place somewhere. And you have hardware to bolt the muffler down. Right here you have more pipe clamps, hardware to be able to hold the unit down. So you have 4 spots right here and here to be able to bolt it down to something with self-tapping screws or bolts to go through something. And then now you have all your hose clamps for your exhaust and your fresh air intake. And then you also have hose clamps for your heating. Right here you have your fresh air intake hose and your fresh air intake filter. Right here you have your DC connection, so you can connect it directly to a battery. It is It does have ringlets already attached, so that's nice. And then here is your AC connection right here, so you can just plug it directly into the wall. All right, before I open up this case, let's go ahead and take some physical dimensions. At its longest, it is a scotch under 15 inches. It is right around 16 inches tall if you include the handles and the cap. And the unit is 6 inches deep. And it weighs in right at 17 pounds. All right, let's go ahead and take this cover off. All right, you just have to unsnap all 4 of those snaps and take the cap off the fuel tank. All right, what we have is our fuel tank. And man, with this lid off, this thing is wobbly. But here's your fuel tank, and it just sits on top right here. You know, the case really keeps everything together. Then you have your fuel pump right here with a little rubber bracket that holds it in place. It is angled at maybe like a 70-degree angle, something like that. This is the fuel line that goes to the tank. And then here's the fuel line coming out, and it actually goes to the combustion chamber. We have a plug right here. And it looks like, wow, you can easily just disconnect it. Fuse right here. And it houses a 20 amp fuse. And this right here is the plug to the control panel inside the unit. And I know with older units, it used to just have a positive and negative plug on here, but now with these new units, you have to use the plug that's provided. When examining the fuel intake to the pump, I don't notice, like, there's no kinks or anything like that. I mean, everything's pretty tight besides the case itself. It looks like it's a little bent right here, but when you put the case back on, it's fine. Or when you put the lid back on. The inside of the fuel tank looks very clean. I do notice that there is the absence of a fuel filter, so that is something that you might want to put on there. But yeah, everything looks to be in order. So let's go ahead and put all the piping on. All right, and once you get the case back on, there's bolts that go through the case into this case from the handles. And once you put those in place and clamp these down, everything kind of solids up. You know, this thing is nice and solid after that. And what's also nice is these clips, they're difficult to get off by hand. You have to really use a flathead screwdriver to pop them open. So I don't think they're just going to accidentally pop open while you're carrying it or using it. Okay, first let's go ahead and install the fresh air intake hose and the exhaust hose. All right, and now when looking at these, your fresh air intake will always be the line closest to your fuel line, because remember, this is your exhaust out and it's going to get really hot. So the fresh air intake, what we're going to do is we're going to get one of these hose clamps and put it on there. And then we'll go ahead and put this through here. And we should be able to just put this right over. Go ahead and put it all the way on. So it's like that. So, and also what's nice is HCalory has a little slot right here. So you can put a screwdriver in there to be able to tighten up these hose clamps. And these hose clamps are Phillips or straight head. And if you want them really tight, you might be able to use a like some sort of socket. All right, and it's going to be a 7mm socket. Let's see if we can just put this right through here. Nope, and you can't. So, you know, you might want to think about making that a little bit bigger, but what we can do is just put this through, connect it back up, and then connect it on here. There we go. And I think that's what you want. You really want to use a socket in order to get this real tight. That way you're not going to have any issues whatsoever. And let's go ahead and do the same with that. And what we're going to want to do is have this 90-degree connected here. So it'll be like this. Or facing the other direction, whichever way you want to go. But go ahead and put your hose clamp on. So let's go ahead and just put it on there like that. You know, and I really don't, maybe once they clamp it on, it'll be a lot better, but I don't feel like this thing is on, you know, I don't feel like it has a really secure fit. Because you are not going to want to have exhaust coming out of here. All right, you want to give it a tug. You shouldn't be able to move this thing at all. So it's on there. It's on there really good. All right. All right, now that we got our exhaust hose on, well, our 90-degree bend and our fresh air intake on, let's go ahead and flip it back up. This exhaust hose is just angled perfectly so you can actually set this thing and the exhaust hose will come right out. But remember, this exhaust hose is going to get, or I shouldn't say hose, it's a pipe. It's a stainless steel pipe, and it's going to get super hot. We're talking 100 degrees Celsius or 212 degrees Fahrenheit. You know, so don't turn this thing on and have this like on your wooden table or like on the back of your tailgate or something like that, because it will melt anything it's sitting on. So with these units, you're going to want to raise this thing up to make sure you have plenty of room for that exhaust to not burn anything. All right, we have our fresh air intake right here, so let's go ahead and put on our little air filter, and it does just kind of screw on into place, just like that. So that's exactly the way you want it. We have our exhaust pipe right here, and it is flexible, and you're going to want to use another hose clamp, so go ahead and just put it on there. Put the pipe on, clamp it down. And again, since this is your exhaust, you'll want to make sure that this is a nice and tight connection. So definitely use a socket wrench. Don't use a screwdriver. With a 7mm socket, it'll give you a lot tighter of a connection. You just get so much more torque out of it. There we go. And now your pipe should not twist or bend or anything. It is nice and tight. And fully stretched out, it looks like this exhaust hose is about 22 inches away from the unit itself. And that doesn't include the muffler. So let's go ahead and put that on now. All right, when you're putting on this muffler, you'll see that there is a hole right here to be able to put a bracket on there to hold it in place. And then at the bottom, there is a little hole right here. And what that's for is for when this is actually being used, this will collect condensation and that will drip from this hole right here. So you want to make sure this is always facing down. And when you're using this unit, you should never have this high like this, because you want the condensation to run down via gravity and run into this unit so it can drip out. So let's go ahead and put our hose clamp on, put our muffler, and clamp it down. All right, and I can't stress it enough. These clamps, after you connect up the exhaust, these pipes should not move. Like right now, I noticed that this isn't perfectly straight, and I'm kind of weird about having things perfectly straight. But I shouldn't be able to just turn it by hand once I have it clamped down. The last thing you want is having exhaust go in places that you didn't plan. All right, and now that we got the hot air exhaust and the fresh air intake pipes installed, all we have to do is put in our hot air output hose, and it just goes on right on the front here, right underneath the display board. And you could just put it just like that. You could just take off your little diffuser here and put the bracket on and tighten it down. Okay, and here's what it should look like when you're all done. You should have your hot air output right here with the diffuser. You should have your exhaust pipe, and remember, it should be angling at a downward angle. You don't want this thing angled up. With the drip line or the drip port right here facing down. You should have your fresh air intake right here that's coming right out of this little hole right here. And that's it. All we have to do now is take it outside, plug it in, put some diesel in it, start it up, and see what happens. All right, now that we have the HCalory Diesel Heater all put together, I brought it out to my garage and we're going to go ahead and start it up. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and use this 12-volt plug that they have provided with it, and we're going to connect it to that Redodo 12-volt 100 amp hour battery. We're also going to fill it up with diesel, and we're going to go ahead and just turn it on, start a timer, and really see how long it takes to warm up.
So let's get started.
And hold the thing, yeah, hold it so it goes in there nice and tight. All right, well, it's on, but it's not making any ticking noises, which I'm surprised about. Up, there we go. After 1 minute, it's starting to tick. And that ticking is the fuel pump priming the unit. All right, it's been 2 minutes. Let's go ahead and pull up the app for the Redodo. And you can see that we're using around 105 to 118 watts. So around 8.1 amps. Is the air warm yet?
It's just kind of normal air.
All right, the current has really dropped down, so the glow plug must be fully heated. So now we're basically just running the fan. All right, it's been 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Go ahead and fill the air again.
It's starting to feel a little warmer.
Is it warmer? Okay.
Warmer than outside.
I've also noticed that the ticking has kind of quieted down a lot, but the fan has gotten louder. All right, and the Redodo on the app, it shows that we're only using less than, well, right around 3 amps. So that's like 35 to 40 watts. And the app says that even though it's only at 84%, we can still run this thing for like 25 to 35 hours. All right, we are now looking at a thermal image of the HCalory diesel heater. And this is, it's right around 8 minutes and 20 seconds. Let's see how much heat is coming out of this vent. And it looks like it's right around about 130 degrees Fahrenheit. So let's go ahead and boost this thing up a little bit. In the exhaust vent, and the exhaust vent looks to be about 160. All right, and I just bumped it up from H3 to H6, and that was right at 9 minutes. So we'll wait a little bit and we'll see how much warmer it gets. And I honestly thought that this thing was gonna be a lot louder. I thought the ticking was gonna be almost to the point of annoying, but honestly, I can barely hear it now. I thought it was gonna be really, just a real tick, 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 but it's kind of in the background now. All right, it's been almost 14 minutes now, and I'm looking at the inside of this vent, and we're looking at about 160 degrees now. Oh, no, we're not. That was the exhaust. So I'm looking inside this vent, and we're looking at about 140 degrees from this vent. All right, we're gonna look at the inside of this vent. And you can see that the core of the heater is at 326 degrees Fahrenheit. And if you look at the exhaust is not too far behind. It's 260 degrees Fahrenheit. So the exhaust is really hot, and the air coming out of this vent is also pretty warm. I mean, yeah, it's 190 degrees right there. So everything about this is hot. All right, and now it's been 16 minutes and 30 seconds. And listen, you can barely hear the ticking of that pump. And I was actually looking online. I was like, oh, I'll probably have to buy a new fuel pump because this one's going to be so loud. This HCalory diesel heater, the pump on it is pretty quiet. All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and let this run for at least an hour, maybe an hour and a half, whatever. All right, as you can see, this thing has actually been running for almost an hour and 20 minutes. And it, of course, is still blowing out 140 degree heat from this vent. And I don't know if you can not hear it, but there's really no ticking. The fan is blowing at full blast, so let's go ahead and turn it down a little bit. We'll go ahead and use the remote that came with it. What's nice about the remote, batteries included, so you can just start using it right out of the box. All right, and now that I got this turned back down to level 1, because it was at level 6, you can hear the ticking of the pump once again, because the fan is so quiet. But the reason I wanted to turn this down is because I wanted to show you the app that comes with this diesel heater. All right, I'm just opening up the app, and you will want to allow the HCalory unit to access your location. And say allow to relative position to nearby devices. That way the Bluetooth will connect. All right, and then it brings up your Bluetooth selection. So you just click on the HCalory 5197, and there it is. That's it. Very easy. It shows that it's heating at the bottom. We are at level 1. It also shows the voltage of the battery right now at 13 volts. It shows the height, which is 708 feet above sea level, which is nice because this unit automatically adjusts for your elevation. So if your elevation is higher and the air is thinner, it will automatically adjust to that. It shows the aluminum body temperature, which is 108 degrees Celsius inside the unit itself. They're not talking about this. This is cool to the touch. They're talking about inside the unit. And then it shows the ambient temperature of 15 degrees Celsius. Now, since I live in the United States, I would rather go with Fahrenheit. So let's go ahead and go to the cog at the top right and say unit switch. And we're going to say Fahrenheit, and we'll go ahead and keep it at feet. And then we'll go back. While we're in the settings, we might as well look at it. There's a language switch, so you can switch the language. There's also timer settings, so you can actually tell it to, like if you hit add, you could say start time. And so you can actually start at a certain time, and you can end it at a certain time. I haven't tested that, but I really hope it is, you can start it at 5 o'clock in the morning to warm up your garage and turn it off at 7:30 a.m. After I've left the house to go to work. That would be amazing. There's also user help and feedback. And then if you don't like how you can go up, like you have the plus and minus and it shows 1, so you can go up. But if you don't like how you just do like the 1 through 6 setting, you can go to mode change. And you could say that I want to click on, I want to choose temperature instead. Now that it shows it's set at 50 degrees and the ambient temperature is 59, so the unit will actually start to slow down. So let's go ahead and kick that up to like 65. There we go. And now the unit will stay on high until it reaches the ambient temperature of 65 degrees. Once those match, this unit will start to slow down just to keep that temperature. All right, now that it's been almost an hour and a half since I've been running this, and again, it's been running very smooth. The air is nice and dry, and I don't smell any exhaust or diesel at all, which is really nice. Let's go ahead and stop this timer. And I'm gonna go ahead and click on the heating button at the bottom, and I want the unit to turn off. So let's go ahead and reset this. And I wanna see how long it takes for this unit to actually shut down. So let's go ahead and click on heating and say deactivate the device. I wanna hit confirm. There we go, and start. Okay, and it says the device is shutting down. Do not power off the process. Do not power off. This process lasts for a few minutes. So we'll go ahead and come back once this is all done. And while this thing is shutting down, another thing that I like about it is that when I synced up my phone to the diesel heater, the time on the diesel heater matched my phone. So it synchronized everything. All right, well, it's been 3 minutes and 45 seconds. The app went to standby. So, but I noticed that this HCalory unit doesn't have any kind of voice announcements, which is actually kind of nice. And let me show you how much fuel I used in the hour and a half that I ran this thing, basically on the highest level that it was able to be run at. All right, when I started this test, I filled the diesel up to this line right here, and it's gone down to there. And I mean, that's only a quarter to half an inch. I mean, maybe what, 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters? I'm not sure, but not very much. I mean, not very much at all. All right, so what is there really not to like about this HCalory diesel heater? It was super simple to set up. I mean, all you had to do is put a couple of pipes on. It comes with a DC power cord that you can connect directly to a car battery or like a lithium iron phosphate battery like I have. And it also comes with an AC plug, so you can just plug it into your wall. Or if you have it plugged into a portable power station, something like that. As far as I know, it barely uses any fuel. It blows out a substantial amount of heat. It does have its own remote that it's very simple with an on, off, and a plus and minus to turn up the heat. And it also comes with its own app where you can control a lot more of the unit very easily. You can possibly control the unit, you can do all the settings that the app can on the unit itself, but it does take a lot of press this for 2 seconds and press this and this at the same time. I would highly recommend just downloading the app. So if you have any questions about the HCalory diesel heater, please go ahead and leave them in the comments. I'll have a link to this item in my description just in case you want to look further into it. Thank you so much for watching this video and have a great day. Bye-bye.